For more than 2 decades, I have written in a diary almost every single day. And guess what? I saved them all. Each week, I will be reading from these archives and getting to know myself from the lens of my 10, 16, 25, and 36-year-old self. We'll explore big topics such as body image, queerness, divorce, addiction, mental health, and friendship. I'll read cringy poems and attempt to find compassion for the painful tenderness of my younger self. Join the drama of me and my guests as we explore our boy-crazy, closeted, angsty selves, one stupid page at a time. Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome to another episode of the Angsty Pod. I'm excited to be here. I am recording this on Wednesday morning. I'm sort of up before the rest of the world is up, enjoying my extra hour of sleep, or at least what feels like an extra hour of sleep. I took a few weeks off recording because I was really activated, I suppose is the right word, by my last episode. And I don't even mean activated in any sort of negative way. I just mean that it was a tough thing to relive and remember, even though I've never not remembered it. And I think that's how trauma goes sometimes. I was reflecting on the nuanced and small ways that my friend's suicide attempt has impacted my life. And it did and it does in a lot of ways, but one of the small ways, and I don't know if anyone out there can relate to this, but one of the small ways that it impacts me is because of that phone call that I received. Again, if you haven't listened to last week's episode, I suggest maybe starting there. But basically, I woke up at my house after throwing a big house party, and the phone kept ringing, and I answered the phone, and it was my friend's stepdad sort of screaming into the phone saying that my friend had attempted suicide. And he had been at my house the night before, which is why his stepdad was calling me. And that moment, the way that I felt in that moment is certainly locked in my brain. I haven't done any real, therapy around that trauma other than talk therapy, which I have found very beneficial. But I haven't done any other modalities around it, and I think maybe perhaps it's time. And the reason that I say that is because when my friends or family calls me now, I immediately panic. If my phone rings, I immediately panic, and it's been that way for 2 decades at this point. And I have to remind the core people in my life, hey, if you call and I don't answer and you don't leave a message, I need you to text me and tell me that everything's actually okay. Otherwise, I will spiral. And, my core people do their best to respect that. But it is like a little ism about me that I kind of avoid phone calls. And I actually love talking on the phone. I really do. But I never have my ringer on. And I kind of avoid the phone. We haven't got to the year 2021 yet in my podcast, but in 2021 I received an equally, if not more, devastating phone call that brought back all those memories of In my head, it's just like the phone call, like capital T, capital P, capital C, the phone call. And we haven't gotten to that yet, and I will share on that when we get there. But I just wanted to reflect after I recorded that episode. It also was an accident or like a coincidence that I recorded that episode in early October, which was the anniversary. I almost recorded that episode like on the anniversary of my friend's suicide attempt. And for a long time after that event, I associated October with like the worst month of my life, where I wasn't writing and I wasn't talking, and I was so far into like this shame, depression spiral, and things were really bad. And for a long time, for years, every October, I had that same feeling. And it's really interesting now because this, the October that just passed, today is November 5th. So like the October that just passed, I didn't even remember. Like I didn't even think about, remember that October. And the reason that I share that piece is because it brings me a little bit of hope that like anniversaries fade. And I think what I mean by that is right now I have these other times of life that feel very activating. So for me, it's May is going to be hard because May is the month that I lost my dog. And when when May approaches, it's like it's been a year without her. And that'll be hard. March is always kind of a hard month for me because it's the month that I lost both my grandparents. My Omi passed in 2020 and then my Opie passed in 2021. And also like the start of the pandemic and the start of getting sober. And March is also the month that like I would have become a mother had I chosen to stay pregnant. And then of course there's June. And June is always an incredibly hard month. Again, I haven't gotten to that part of my story yet, but June is the anniversary of my best friend's car accident that left him as a tetraplegic. So the reason that I wanted to like tie these things together is because what that experience of my friend's suicide attempt has taught me is like those anniversaries do soften. And I don't know if there's maybe someone out there listening that needs to kind of hear that today. And maybe hearing that actually sucks, I have a close friend who today is the anniversary of her mother's passing. And I know that because I put the date in my calendar because I want to reach out that day, But I often like think about it as like, does she want me to reach out that day? Like, does she want the reminder? And then I was like, oh, she remembers. Like, she knows, But, and some anniversaries maybe never soften. I haven't lost a parent, so I can't say that date will ever be softer for her. But for me, having this past October just sort of like come and go. And I realized long after the fact that I recorded that episode that, that was actually very close to the day, 20 years ago when he tried to take his life. So it's just kind of crazy that way. Anyways, I'm going to be picking up where I left off in 2005. And for those of you who aren't caught up yet, but you're listening, I have just gone through, like I said, my friend attempted suicide. There's three big things happening, I think, in this journal or at this time. One is I have a severe Coke addiction. I am really falling deep into this spiral of addiction. The second one is I have started dating someone new, a gentleman named Corey P. And he was somebody who I had a crush on for years before we started dating, and probably never didn't have a crush on him. And the third thing is that, where are my parents? I'm spending like every day and night at my high school boyfriend's house, and I don't know if my parents ever really ask me where I am or where I'm going or when I'll be home. And it's not a surprise that in just a couple journals from now, my family breaks apart. But leading up to it this year, this 2005, my parental guidance is nowhere to be found. And given everything that I was going through, I probably really needed quite a bit of parental guidance. So that's impacting things as well. Okay, I've talked at you for long enough. I'm going to have a little sip of tea, and then we'll get started on this journal. All right, let's get into it. All right, I feel like this is a good entry to just start on because it kind of summarizes like the time. So this is December 2005. Last night was interesting. I got a ride to Dorchester and went to Corey's. We chilled for a while, just listening to music and talking about stuff. Guys, remember when you would just go over to your boyfriend's house and chill and listen to music and talk about stuff? Where did that time go? We ended up going to Nikki's birthday party to chill with Red, Richard, Oompa, Lenny, Darcy, Ashley, and some others. It was so funny and a good time. Me and Corey were alone outside a few times, just talking and smoking. I noticed that when I was talking to other people or saying something, he'd just look at me and laugh or something, or just smile. Ooh, we're in love. We left around 2:30, went back to his house, made love. It was more me this time. I initiated it and made it passionate. I love how he just encompasses and holds my whole body when we're getting things started. And I don't feel like I'm trying to be sexy. I just go with the flow, and he makes it easy because of the way he treats my body. And waking up to him could not have made me feel any better. So again, that's just like kind of a summary of the times. I am madly in love. I mean, as much as a 17-year-old can be. And just based on that, it sounds like the intimacy with this person is a lot more gentle and loving than it was with my previous boyfriend. And I don't blame Gert for any of that. Like, we were both like virgins when we slept together. It was both of our first times, and all of the exploration that him and I did together was new. It was new for both of us. And I didn't have two things. I didn't have a voice, I didn't have a voice to be able to be like, I like this, or I don't like that. And I also didn't really have like preferences yet. But I think as I'm getting a little bit older and a little bit more experienced, I do have things that I like, and I have things that I don't really like. And being with Corey is making me feel really safe. And I don't know. I liked reading that. Okay, talking about the times. The next day, I write December 6, 2005. I write, my last few days, have been interesting. Saturday night was spent doing lines at Harris's. I drew Harris a crazy picture and noticed that Derek is very polite and that I'm a bit of a sketch bag. I'm jealous of Janelle's closeness to all of them. On Sunday, Amber and I chilled all day, did nothing super exciting. I was so hungover and fucked up, and the only thing that helped was another line. Then I went to Corey's. We had a great time. It was just a nice, relaxing night, hanging out, watching TV, and messing around. He told me that my breasts were a nice size, and that I make him feel funny in a good way, and that I make him feel good. Then Monday, I was so tired, so tired all day. It was like coming down. I had to work a shift, and then I went out because it was Mark's birthday. And he kissed me. Yeah. I guess if I'm being honest, I knew it was coming. I think he almost tried to when we were just sitting there, but I turned away to look in my pocket. Then again, when we hugged at his door, I turned away. But what it came down to was he stopped me as I was walking out. He called me back. "Hey, wait, when am I going to see you again?" he said. And I said I'd call him, and he leaned in and kissed me. And I said bye and walked away. I felt so bad on my drive home. Because of Corey, of course. I know how much he was hurt by his ex, and I don't want him to feel like he can't trust me, because he can. I know he can. But nevertheless, I felt terrible today. When I saw Corey and he smiled at me, and I remembered him visiting me at work and how giddy I was to see him, and it made me feel like the most dishonest person. And tonight, after debating on it for quite some time, I called Mark and told him we had to talk. And I told him he surprised me, and that I was very sorry for not seeing his signals, and that he shouldn't feel bad about it, and that he was also so kind, even about this. He said he understood, and that he was sorry too, and that he was only disappointed, not mad. Sighs. And he says he can't tell me what to do, but he just doesn't want me to tell Corey if I don't have to, because it would make things weird. So, we have a love triangle. So I have to say, this is the first time that I'm reading this journal, like since I wrote it. And also the memory of this moment is like so vivid in my brain. The most vivid part of the memory is that I absolutely knew that Mark was going to kiss me, and I played stupid and just let it happen anyways, which was really shitty. So Mark was my friend. He was my dear friend. And I suppose if I'm being really honest and critical about it, like our friendship probably wasn't as like real and deep as it feels now, but because we were friends, but most of our friendship was based on doing drugs together. He was also like sometimes my dealer, and he had a crush on me. And I think for a fleeting moment, I might have had a crush on him too. I didn't write about him very much, you know, which is kind of telling, because most of the time that I was into somebody, they consumed my diary. But I think if I'm being really honest, I think I thought we were friends and he thought we could be more. And I guess I let him think that. So, you know, in this entry, I'm hanging out with Mark at his house and we're probably getting high. And I stand up to leave and he goes in and I think he's going to kiss me. So I turn my face, classic. But then he tries one more time and leans in and kisses me. And yeah, I remember that. I remember because we were outside his door when that happened. And then I walked to my car. And when I walked to my car, I got in my car and I just like, I was panicked. I was like, go. And my car didn't start right away because it was freezing cold because it was December. And I saw him like approaching the car and I just prayed. I was just like, please, turn on. And then my car turned on and I peeled out. But what really happened here is like, Corey and I are new. Like in my heart, we're like together, you know, I'm in love with him. But we haven't made it like official, you know? So Mark doesn't know that Corey and I are together. And that's a problem because he tried to kiss me. So he basically asked me to not tell Corey because he didn't want to make it weird. The next page of my diary is me writing out the script that I'm going, like, how I'm going to tell Corey. So I say, Corey, I have something to talk to you about. Something happened the other day and it's been on my mind. I talked to Mel and Jenny about it and they both told me I shouldn't tell you, but I don't want to start of us to be dishonest because I know what it's like to keep secrets from someone, but I don't want to have to do that with you. So Mark tried to kiss me on Monday, and it wasn't a big deal because I just turned my face and walked away. But he didn't know about us, so it just kind of happened. And I didn't want to tell you to hurt your feelings just to make myself feel better. But I just thought if it was the other way around, I'd want you to tell me. So I just didn't want you to think you can't trust me because I want you to know that I would never do that to you. I know you've been through shit like that before, and I just don't want you to think that way of me. It's just, I really didn't know he was going to try to make a move on me, and if I did, I never would have went over there in the first place, but he just didn't know we were serious, and honestly, you don't have to worry about it because I talked to him about it, and I told him how I felt about you, and how I'm not the kind of person who would ever do that, and I just want you to know that that he knows now that it's over, and that you can trust me, okay? Like, quite the tall order. So a couple days later, I write, I talked to Corey today. Sighs. I don't understand how I ended up with such a nice person. He was so understanding about it. I sat down on his bed and just told him I had something to tell him. And I told him what I wrote yesterday and that he can trust me. And he said that it wasn't my fault and that he knows we're good for each other and that he can and does trust me. I'm not sure if I'm relieved totally. It feels like it's still on my mind, just the fact that it's out there. But Corey is he's so amazing. He amazes me every day. I'm so blessed to have a boy who kisses my face and who holds my hand and who I sincerely enjoy their company. ... Wow, I'm watching Sex and the City right now. Carrie... That's so funny. Carrie just promised Aiden that she'd quit smoking, but then she can't keep her promise. Reminds me of Gurnt and I. Sighs so much, it's crazy. Can you guess? Sighs. That's so... I was not expecting there to be a Sex and the City reference in this journal. Did not. So I feel like it's probably not... It doesn't make sense for me to continue without sharing more about my friend Mark. So you'll see Mark throughout these journals. We were, like I said, we were friends and we stayed friends for years, decades after school. And Mark was very sweet and funny and troubled. And I had like a super soft spot for Mark. We never dated. In journals past, journals long after this one, him and I stayed in touch while I was in college, and we stayed in touch for years, for a long time. And we did have a moment. We did have a couple moments where there was a chance we might start dating. And like, I have to wait until I get to those journals to find out like the full extent of like why it never worked out. I think to Mark, I was the girl who like always got away, And for me, I think Mark just always remained just like my friend in my heart. And I don't know if it was about like not being attracted to him or anything. Or compatibility. It was just like probably more timing than anything. So anyways, Mark was always cheering me on throughout my 20s, and we always stayed friends, or friendly at least. It's not like we were getting together a lot, but we stayed in touch. And unfortunately, Mark passed away in 2018 from an overdose. And yeah, it was a big loss, especially for Mark's family and his closest friends. I was devastated by his death. The news of his death came at a very bad time for me personally. I had just fractured my tailbone, and I was kind of on bed rest, and I was in a very deep depression. And I stayed in bed for like 2 weeks, watching reruns of Grey's Anatomy, nursing my injury, and just thinking about Mark. And I was really hard. And what I remember about his funeral was that one of his closest friends came up to me and said, Mark like really liked you, and I was like, yeah, I know we were friends. And he was like, no, you were like the girl for him. And that made me really sad and really happy at the same time. I certainly don't think that Mark and I were meant to be, and I don't think we ever would have ended up together. But we did have a bond. We did have a pretty special bond. And like I said, I had a very, very soft place in my heart for Mark, and still do, actually. So, it's been soon, in a month and 2 months it'll be 7-8 years since his passing. I think about him a lot this time of year, and yeah, I just wanted to share that and just say rest in peace, Mark. And you left a big imprint on my life, and you're in this journal a lot, and it's like weird to talk about you because obviously you're not here, but I feel you around sometimes, and just sending a lot of love to your family and friends. Okay, I'm still in December. I've barely made it through any pages of this journal. Okay, December 11th, 2005. My last few days have been unexplainable. Allow me to explain them. It started on Friday, really. On Thursday night, I just worked. On Friday, I chilled at home for a while, and then I went out. I was going to chill with Corey, but went to Janelle's house because I couldn't get a hold of him. It was fun. Anthony and Derek and I went out, and they bought me a tank of gas. It was a great time in the garage, wandering around, talking to everybody, making inside jokes. It was just good times. But then a beef started between Coop and Anthony. And then, in the middle of doing lines, Janelle's dad came in and told us we all had 5 minutes to get the fuck out of his house. So everyone deked. P.S. This is the same man, this poor man. This is the same man who, from last episode, who busted up the house party. So basically this girl that I'm friends with, Janelle, is just like constantly having parties or just like doing lines, in the garage. And this poor father is just like trying to keep his house safe. I was upset because Corey deked because he was mad because Anthony got all up in Janelle's dad's face saying he was going to stab him. It was awful. I spent an hour afterwards frantically looking for Anthony, freaking out because he was just so fucked up, and all I could think about was the last time I let someone, one of my friends, walk around with no one while they were fucked up. Lou almost died. I thought Anthony was going to fall asleep in a snowbank and freeze to death or something. Eventually I found him. He was with Dre, and we drove him home. On the way back, I freaked out on Dre and told him why I was mad, and he gave me a hug. On the way home, I wanted to stop by Lou's and just crawl into bed with him like I used to and just be close to him and know that he's okay, but of course I couldn't. On Saturday, I worked again. I didn't feel like going out, so I went to Corey's. But before I did, I talked to Mark. He told me that he felt like an ass around Corey, that he doesn't think it'd be a good idea for him and I to just chill anymore. He said, Yoda, I'm still here for you and we can still talk. And so I went over to Corey's after work. It was nice. I feel like I know how he reacts to stuff now that we know each other. And although it is better than Gert used to, for example, Corey made a comment about how I drove past him 3 times on Friday. And then right after he apologized and said he never wants to make me feel bad. It's still hard sometimes because I think he thinks so badly of himself sometimes. Like he started talking about Mark how the situation was awkward when we were all together and about how he thinks he made me feel bad. So I sat upright because I was so nervous because I never want to fight with him. And sometimes he gets insecure and it's hard. But unlike with Gert, I don't let it turn into a big mopey fight. Instead, I try to make him laugh or try to be sincere so we're okay. Because that's all I care about, is that him and me are okay. So, at the top of this episode, I was sharing about how, in reflection, how this accident with my friend attempting suicide impacted my life. I can see it right here, like my friend Anthony, was coked out of his mind. The party got busted. He got all up in my friend's father's face saying he was going to stab him and then fled the scene. And I remember being frantic, trying to find him because I was worried he was going to die. I was worried he was going to pass out in a snowbank. I never wanted to let people out of my sight because I was scared of what they do. So there's something at the end of this episode which I feel like I can't skip because a tradition is about to begin where I leave Corey's late at night and I drive, about 5-10 minutes out of town to this truck stop where my friend works the night shift. I don't know how he got a job as the night shift cleaner at a truck stop when he was 17 years old and in school, but country life, I don't know. Anyways, I would drive there and we would sit in my car and smoke and talk for, I'm talking hours. I wish I could be a fly on the wall and be what? Just so strange to me now, but I say I left around 2:30 and then went to the truck stop to chill with Chuck. We ate and then sat in my car and smoked until 5 a.m. It was nice, honest. He asked me if I still did coke, and I said yes when I could have lied. And then he asked how I felt about flings, if it was wrong to think about suicide. And it was good. It was just good to do that and relax. And then today I worked. I visited Katie. It was good to see her, honestly. We're going to hang out soon and catch up. Yeah, so there's so much in these entries. There's so much going on. There's so many people that I'm trying to keep up with and stay close to. And I'm also working and I'm also in school and I'm never at home. And yeah, it's a lot. Okay, so if you remember from forever ago, not even forever ago, 2 years ago, I shared 2 years ago in journal time. So 10 episodes ago, I read a diary that contained something about the semi-formal. So the semi-formal was this dance they had every year. I think it was always in December at my high school. I don't know if this is still a thing. Do they still do this? I don't know. But it was really fun, and I think they should. And it was different from every other dance because you got dressed up. And it was kind of meant to feel like a prom, essentially. And Corey and I had gone together in grade 10. He had asked me to go, and I had just kind of started hanging out with Gert, and so nothing happened between Corey and I that night, but I think we both always regretted it. But it wasn't meant to be then. But now we're going to semi together 2 years later, together. So I start this page with the words prediction for semi, and semi is shorthand for semi-formal. I'll get ready after school. Jenny will do my nails, eyebrows, and makeup, and then my hair maybe, and then I'll drive to Cassie's. No one will fuss over me because Amber and Shannon and Cassie will look so good, and me and Corey will meet up and smile real big and tell each other we look good. I'll giggle and I'll say I like his suspenders, and maybe he'll say, ooh, sparkles. So silly. And then we'll dance, and he might have a dance with Kay, that's his ex-girlfriend, or maybe I'll dance with Harris or Chimp, or Amber, Cassie, and Shannon will be bored because they went alone, but they'll joke. Then maybe we'll go to Harris's or a party, or Corey and I will go straight to his house. Then I'll light a candle next to his bed and start things the way we always do, and it will be romantic, and I'll let him go down on me, and then when he's inside me, then maybe we'll tell each other how amazing the night was, or maybe we'll go back to his door and I'll casually glance at him in the eyes, and we'll hold the gaze and kiss passionately. Maybe then I'll push him into the door, and then he'll pick me up, and I'll let him carry me down the stairs, and we'll kiss. And as soon as he puts me on his bed and strip down and do everything to each other that I've been waiting for all week. And then I'll go to sleep and wish it wasn't over. Just a couple of expectations. We all know how that goes. Am I right? Okay. Next page. Actual semi. It was a frustrating night beforehand. I came home at 3, picked up Jenny, broke my car door, and then got my car stuck in the snow. Then I finally had time to shower and finally started getting ready. Jenny and me fought because my hair didn't work out, my makeup looked bad, and I picked my outfit very last minute. I went to Shannon's with Amber, and we got a ride to the school right away. Laz and Bevan were tanked. It was so nice to see everyone all dressed up. Chuck was with his new girlfriend, Katie, and I tried to be nice to her. I wasn't really very happy, though, until I saw Corey. Damn, he looked so freaking hot. Black shoes, black pants, suspenders, tie. His hair was slicked back. He looked really grown up, very sexy. We talked, and he gave me a corsage and gave me a kiss. Oh my God, so good. We danced a few times, old school, like we did in grade 10, and I felt very close to him. We spent a lot of the night separately. I talked to Steve, met his new girlfriend, and danced. Steve is Nick Lachey from many episodes ago. We all got invited back to Katie's, but I ended up going to Shannon's. It was just Corey, me, Graham, Amanda, Chimp, Cass, and Shannon and Sherry. It was really cool, though, just chilling, good times. Then Corey and I went back to his house. It was different. We lied down for a while. I was worried because his aunt was upstairs. Oh boy. And I kind of thought we were just going to go to sleep. But instead, he started stuff. It was nice, romantic, what I wanted. And we had sex. It was long and nice and satisfying. Then we fell asleep and woke up and went for breakfast with Cassie, Shannon, and Chuck. It was a good night. Last night, specifically, was a really, really good night. I went over even though I didn't feel good and felt very tired and kind of bummed out from school. But I went and we sat and talked for a while, and then we watched Billy Madison, and it was nice just lying in his arms, so comfortable. Then I was just rubbing his chest and arms, and I just found his dick with my wandering hand. Can you say hand job? And started on that. Even though we weren't really planning on doing it because I felt sick, we ended up getting into it and having sex, and it was nice. And then we had a good talk. Corey said, you have no idea how long I've been waiting for this. I said, what? I have no idea? Do you know how long I had a crush on you? He said, well, no, it's just that you make me feel shit I've never felt before. Me. Like, never ever. Him. Never. Me. Well, you deserve to be treated good, and I just love seeing you feel good. And I just want to be good to you. And then I told him that he makes me feel different than I ever did because he pays attention to my needs and treats me like I'm sexy. This morning was great. Jokes, laughing, cuteness. I feel like Corey is the one who takes care of me. And I don't feel like I'm in a rush with him. That maybe he will always be there to make sure I'm happy. And I am happy. So happy. And ... I think he was going to tell me he loved me. ... Eek. Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, this journal is just like making me laugh. Okay, we're fast forwarding a little bit to December 24th. I say, I guess like Corey's coming over to my house for Christmas or something. I'm not sure what's happening in this journal, but I say, it was fun when Corey was here today. Kind of reminded me of when Gert and I first started dating, and we just sit in the living room and laugh. But it was better because Corey met Mom and she seemed to like him, and because Corey felt comfortable, and because it made me really happy to see him so happy. This is the part that I want to read. I gave him his presents, a Zippo with his name engraved on it, and a Metallica sweatshirt. He seemed to really like it. We went back to his house at 11 so he could give me my present. His mom gave me a present first, bath stuff, a watch, and some earrings. I gave her some poinsettias. Corey's gift was so nice. A Doris t-shirt, a Beatles DVD, and a nice new pipe. Like to smoke weed. So happy. I hugged him and we kissed, and it was amazing. Then we hung out and just talked and kissed, and it ended up lasting for hours. Okay, this entry ends with, I also talked to Mark today. He wished me a Merry Christmas, and we talked on the phone for about 20 minutes. It sounds like there's no hard feelings. Also, I visited Lou today at the trailer. Everyone was there. Bucket, Candace, Brandy, John, the baby, Jeanette, and her husband. I wrote Joan a nice card and Lou a letter. I think I saw Lou's first sincere smile since his accident. He was wearing a suit and tie and just looked different and grown up. So, we have entered 2006. I don't think I'm going to get through this whole journal in this episode, so I'll split it up into two. But I want to end this episode with the most insane fucking field trip of my life. So there's this thing, I don't know why I remember this. It's called breakaway tours. And I don't know if it's a Canada thing. I don't know if it's like everyone does it. But in my high school, there was this special like trip you took in grade 12. And it was like between Christmas and New Year's when everybody had like time off school. And the way it worked was like you paid like some amount. I don't remember what amount it was, but you paid some amount, like $500 or something. And you got picked up. All of us got picked up together on this like city bus, and it drove us like 8 hours to Quebec City, which was a place I'd never been to before this. And then you get to stay in a hotel with like three other people. So 4 people to a room, and you kind of get to like pick who those people are. And then you just are like let loose, a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds let loose in Quebec City for like 3 or 4 days. And then at the end of it, this bus comes to take you home. I think the idea is that like you go to the new city and you like explore the city and like walk around and like see the historical sites and all that. But really it was just like a cocaine and sex festival. I cannot believe that anyone's parents lets them go on a trip like this. It's crazy. If you are the parent of like a teenager, don't let them go. They'll hate you, but it'll be fine. And also, like, me and my group of friends at that time were, like, so, we were party animals, you know? I remember some parts of this trip to Quebec City, but I don't remember a lot of it because I was so fucked up. And a lot of my friends were, too. And everyone went. Like, everybody in my group of friends went. We all went. I also worked at the time. Like, I worked at this CD store. I know. What's that? So there was this store that sold CDs and eventually DVDs that was called HMV. And I worked there for the Christmas season. And, yeah, like, such a mess. I remember Christmas, I think you had to work either Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, and like you had to draw straws. So I was going to be away on New Year's Eve because I was going on this trip to Quebec City with my friends, So I worked Christmas Eve, and I think I worked like Boxing Day and then like the next day, and then I was gone to Quebec City. Before I read it, I'm going to share what I remember. I haven't read this yet. So what I remember is arriving at like 11 p.m. or something, like late, to catch this bus to go to Quebec City. And they called out names, and like when they called out your name, you got on the bus, and then the bus was like full and they hadn't called my name, and I was like the only person still standing outside. And so I was like, what the fuck? Am I not on the bus? And then they were like, oh, you're on a different bus. So every single one of my friends got on this bus, and they all went to Quebec City. And then a separate bus from a separate town with separate high school kids came and picked just me up. It was very strange. I don't know why it happened that way. Maybe it happened that way for a reason. Who knows? But so I got to Quebec City like an hour or something after all my friends had gotten there. I was sharing a room with Corey and two of our like male friends. I'm not sure why that setup happened. I barely slept for like 3 days. I slept very little. I don't remember eating anything. I don't remember drinking anything other than alcohol. I just remember partying our faces off. I remember a guy I went to school with named Kyle had a medical event where he needed medical attention because he was just like dehydrated and all fucked up from probably alcohol poisoning or whatever, which was scary. We celebrated New Year's Eve there, and Corey and I had a huge fight. Our probably first fight. I don't remember the context of it. I don't remember what happened or how it went down, but I just remember we had a huge fight. And then when we went home, I had to get on this separate bus, right? So I got on this bus and I went home by myself, and then Corey got on the bus with all our friends and he went home. And then like the next day he had to fly to Florida to visit his dad, and I had to go to work, except the next day I slept in because I had just traveled on this bus home from Quebec, and I was like on this bender for 3 days. So I didn't wake up for work, and I got fired from my job. So like a series of disasters, and like oh my God, it was such an awful experience doing this Quebec trip. So I will read now what I wrote about it, but I don't think it's going to be pleasant. Okay, I wrote Quebec trip, first day. The trip was long. We all met up at Tim Hortons at 3 a.m. Okay, not 11 p.m., 3 a.m. I had to go on a different bus, exclamation mark. Which was so shitty. Corey was trying to get on my bus with me, but I was just getting frustrated. So eventually I said, just get on your bus. Okay. First night, I got there at 1:30 in the afternoon before everyone else. Okay, so I didn't arrive after, I arrived before. I had some downtime to relax, which was nice. Everyone else got there, and man, oh man, I got freaking loaded. It was great. I am so inebriated, I kept yelling. I had a great time. I took lots of pictures, hung out at the bar, great time. Met French guys, period. The end. That's how it ends. Oh, I forgot to say too, so the legal drinking age where I live is 19 years old and was 19 years old, but in Quebec City, it was 18 years old, and some of us were 18. I was still 17, but I had my sister's ID. So I had a fake ID. So we were all able to like get drinks at the bar. Next day, 29th. Hungover, very. Slept in until 10. Had breakfast with some people, don't remember. That night was good too. We all chilled at the bar for a long time. Met a lot of really cool people. Some girl named Tracy and a bunch of people from Acton. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember these people from Acton because, like, 2 years later or 3 years later, those people, I put their names in brackets, Caitlin, Maddie, and Shelby, they actually came to my college. They were, like, friends with one of the girls I went to college with and lived in a dorm with. And I remember they showed up and I was like, wait, I know you. And they were like, wait, we know you. And it was like these random people that I partied with in Quebec. Super weird. So I've given no information what I did all day. So basically I woke up at 10, was super hungover, went to breakfast. And then I just say, we stayed at the bar all night. So I don't know what we did during the day. I have no concept, no idea. I do say we had a poker game and chilled in the bar. It was just lots of laughs. Corey and I had sex that night too. I actually don't know how we ended up in our room, but stuff started. We put a lock on the door and did it. It was good, but it ended up unsuccessful because we were both too drunk. Okay. It was okay, except he got mad at me and said, you never take things when I offer them to you, but when you need something, you demand it. Don't remember that, but okay. Later, when Corey was all worried about me because I said I was going to be somewhere and then I wasn't, we went back to our room because he was upset, and he ended up walking past me and Chuck out front of the hotel and completely ignored me. He said he was sorry, that it was out of character, and then he cried. Oh my God, that's so sad. I said it was intense and sad, and in a sweet way that he trusts me like that. He cried because he thinks that he's fucked up and needs therapy. I hugged him and said, I'll help you if you let me. We hugged more, and he told me that I'm the only thing that makes him feel better, and then we slept. Okay, I don't remember that, but that's really fucking sad. The next day, on the 30th, I write, I slept all day. I remember seeing Mark and ignoring him almost completely because I was so hungover I couldn't see straight. Dead. Corey kept coming in and checking on me and being so nice to me. He got me Gravol and water. When I finally woke up, I decided I was going to stay sober all night because I felt so ill. It was okay. We hung out in the bar, chilled with our new friends there. Corey and I were getting along. We all played poker and blackjack until Corey and I lied down, and I told him that he was too good for me, and he got all weird and left the room, came back, tried to hug me, got all sorry and sad, and I felt bad, and we just lied close for the rest of the night. Okay, so there's like definite like conflict happening. I think what's actually happening here, which surprises me, is that Corey's actually unraveling a little bit because of all the alcohol and everything, and just like the pressure of this like situation that we've been put in where we're like living together in Quebec City. It's crazy. Okay, 31st, New Year's Eve. I woke up at 1 p.m. Who am I? What's going on? Went to McDonald's with Coop, Richard, Brian, Corey, and Rochelle. We chilled all day and started drinking around 5. I was at the bar with everyone, took tequila shots with Brian, took way too many pictures of people. Everyone ended up leaving the bar, and for a few hours, it was just a few of us left behind. I ended up getting sick at 11 p.m. Corey and I were in my room talking because of the night before, and then I started feeling sick. I magged out so hard and would not get up. I threw all my stuff around. Corey found my Coke, badness, and I was cranky. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. So I got so drunk I got sick. Corey didn't like that, saw that I was like storing Coke somewhere. I got up at 11:55 only to kiss Corey at midnight. It was an all right night. I just chilled until I had to get on my bus at 6:30 a.m. Corey came down with me and we talked. He went back upstairs and I wrote him a note saying that I was sorry. I gave it to someone to give to him and he came back downstairs. We sat on the stairs alone and wow, it was just so upsetting. He said that I ignore him, that he resents me for it, that I'm unfair and a bad drunk. And I had nothing to say because I knew he was right. I should have listed off the reasons he was too good for me, because he offers me everything, his sweater, water, smokes, to light them, to come on my lonely bus, to buy booze, to stay sober with me, to take care of me. But I didn't. But I'm going to, and I hope that things are okay. He's not back until Monday, though, which is just awful and painful because I need to know that everything is okay, because he's all I've been thinking about and he is so, so, so good to me. I think I honestly might love him, maybe. I know it's going to be hard because he seems so heartbroken over my lack of sensitivity and comfort towards him. And I am so heartbroken how it took him so long to see me. And I want so badly to get past that, maybe even quit Coke for him and then just, be happy? That's like, oh my God, that's so hard to read. Wow, that's so hard to read. Okay, I am actually going to end this episode there, but I am going to come back next week and read the second half of this journal. It's been a while since I had to split a journal in two, but I think there's just so much happening in this, and I took some detours just to talk about what was going on. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to come back next week with another one and we can chat about it then. But basically where this ends is I am coming off of a 4-day bender. My boyfriend and I are in a fight and he's about to leave for Florida for the rest of the week. So anxious attachment, disorganized attachment flare up, and I am not okay. I am not okay. Reading this journal has been tough, so I'm going to go take extra good care of myself. But I wanted to say thank you all so much for listening. If you are somebody who journals or wants to start journaling or wants to build a writing practice, I help writers work on that every single day. You can find more from me at www.doulaofwords.com. Big love.